All right, so this next passage at the bottom of 112 is going to be focusing on the view of women, all right, specifically the aunt. And we've already had a discussion about the view of women, so this is just going to be reinforcing that for you. So down the bottom of 112 is where we're going to kick off. This is Marlowe speaking. One more thing remained to do. Say goodbye to my excellent aunt. I found her triumphant. I had a cup of tea, the last decent cup of tea for many days. And in a room that most soothingly looked, just as you would expect a lady's drawing room to look, we had a long, quiet chat by the fireside. In the course of these confidences, it became quite plain to me I had been represented to the wife of the high dignitary, and goodness knows to how many more people besides, as an exceptional and gifted creature, a piece of good fortune for the company, a man you don't get hold of every day. Good heavens! And I was going to take charge of a 2-penny halfpenny river steamboat with a penny whistle attached. It appeared, however, I was also one of the workers, with a capital, you know, something like an emissary of light, something like a lower sort of apostle. So let's have a look at just these parts here, all right? He actually makes reference to that fact, you know, a worker with a capital. Something like an emissary of light, or a lower sort of apostle. These references link back to the cultural ideas that the Europeans had. Okay, so cultural ideas that the Europeans had towards the Africans. And then this gets picked up with his conversation with the aunt. There had been a lot of such rot let loose in print and talk just about that time, and the excellent woman, living right in the rush of all of that humbug, got carried off her feet. She talked about weaning those ignorant millions from their horrid ways, till upon my word she made me quite uncomfortable. I ventured to hint that the company was run for profit. All right, so if we have a look here, there's an interesting view of women that Conrad is making, right? The excellent woman. So he's saying, you know, a fine, upstanding woman. He's not saying some idiot. He's saying a fine, upstanding woman living right in the rush of all of that humbug. So all of that city life gets carried off her feet, actually believes this sort of idea, this rhetoric that's being pushed, that they are going to save these savages. Right? And then you get this quote that he's replicating from somebody he heard, weaning those ignorant millions from their horrid ways. Right? So looking at them from an intellect level, looking at the way that they behave. Right? It paints a picture of ignorance. Which is something that is picked up on right at the end of the text when Marlowe is commenting on how he feels being back in Brussels and looking around at all the people and seemingly knowing more than they do. You know, it comes across as arrogance, but you get that same sort of tone coming in here, right? I ventured to hint that the company was run for profit. It's reaffirming that idea that he has in his brain that this is all about money, right? That there's nothing virtuous in what they're doing, right? There's nothing about salvation. Nothing like that at all. You forget, dear Charlie, that the labourer is worthy of his hire, she said brightly. It's queer how out of touch with truth women are. Right? It's a very scathing little statement that they're making there. They live in a world of their own, and there had never been anything like it and never can be. It is too beautiful altogether, and if they were to set it up, it would go to pieces before the very first sunset. Some confounded fact we men have been living contentedly with ever since the day of creation would start up and knock the whole thing over. So again, it's setting up a gender divide. And he's quite scathing of the women. All right? So this is a view that he's projecting. And then by virtue of the fact that Marlowe is saying it, you can then make the interpretation that Conrad is saying it. Okay? Because you've got the evidence in the text to do it. Right? So that's the view of women. Right? And the evidence you have for that.